Hello, welcome back to my channel. I'm Ruby, this is Ruby Red, and welcome to the February episode of TBR Tally. TBR Tally is a project that I'm doing this year in which I attempt to read almost all the books that I own. And I explain a little bit more about like why and how in January's episode, so that will be linked below. I'll probably have a playlist or something. And every month, the basics are just that every month I will have a tally based on 2 factors, and that is the number of books that I have to read off my shelf in the month, and there's various other mechanisms involved, and the goal is just so that at the end of the year I have only 15 books on my own TBR, because that feels right for me. So I just wrapped up January's, and now we have to set up the February tally, which is going to be exciting. So going into February, first of all, I had the first part of the tally for January, because the tally comes in 2 parts. The first part is dealing with books I owned before 2026 started, and then the second part is books that I have acquired in 2026. So the first part of the tally last month was 3, which means I have earned the right for in February the first part of the tally to be 2, because they have to be, you know, I have to have a 3-month before I can have a 2-month. But I'm gonna not do that. I'm gonna have the first part of February's tally be 3 also. I just want to be front loading this a little bit. And also I have 2 banked books from January because I read more than the tally required. So I can use those to fill in slots in February if needed. But otherwise I can save them for later. So that's giving me some maybe unreasonable confidence. But the first part of the February tally is going to be 3. And then the second part of the February tally, which is the number of books I acquired in January, is also going to be 3. This is 3 arcs that I got approved for that I had requested in 2025. So like, but what are you gonna do? That's how it works. So those 3 books are now on my TBR, which means my overall TBR throughout the month of January went down from 45 only to 43, despite having read 5 books, but that's okay. I was more careful in January. I did receive some marketing emails from NetGalley for books that I want, but I can read them when they're published, actually. If it's a book I'm really interested in, I can read it later. So I did not request any books in January, feeling really pleased with that. But yeah, I did get those 3 arcs. So the system is working. Like, I'm checking myself, you know? So that's going great. And then, so for February, the tally, that means is 6. Again, I have 2 banked books just in case, but I've been doing really good about reading a lot lately. I don't know. And my book club book for this month is really short, but I wanted to do something fun to pick the books, because last month I feel like there was like an element of mood reading that I was doing. I didn't really know how, anyway, I wanted to do something fun. And initially I was thinking of doing my TBR game, Take a Hike, but then Becca from Becca Books and Bujo announced a mini deck of TBR-a-thon, which is a readathon that she does, I think, in the summer for a whole month. And it's like competitive, and she does it with another creator, Chloe from Always Booked. It's based on her TBR game, deck of TBR, which I love. And the February one is meant to be a mini, so I think it's just a week-long one, and there's points that you can get. But I am just taking the prompt board because they released the prompts already. So I'm gonna use that board for the whole month and pull cards from a deck, and whatever card I pull, that's gonna lead me to a prompt, and then that's going to lead me to a book from my own TBR. And here's the prompt graphic. Each number of card has 3 different point value prompts that you can pick from, but instead of doing that, I'm just gonna assign suits to each of those 3, and then another suit will be, I can take my pick of the 3. And that's how I'm gonna pick my TBR this month. And I actually already started. I already picked my first book. So let's roll the clip. Hello, hello, I'm here. I'm here to pick my first book with my carbon cards. That's a picture of him from our wedding. Oh God, it's super cute. Do I just pick the one that flew away from me? King of Spades? Seems right. Okay, so King of Spades. So the King prompt is a genre prompt, and the King of Spades in my metric is a genre blend. So a genre blend. Okay, I'm actually gonna have to think about this for a moment. Okay, I had to do a little bit of searching to sort of figure out which of my books is a genre blend. Like, I feel like that's not something I necessarily know about books, but I knew that I had to have something that was like gonna be either speculative romance or like a mystery or something. So I narrowed it down to 2 options. I won't tell you what the second option was. I'm deciding to read The Mars House by Natasha Pulley, which is one of Mani's like favorite books, I feel like, from Reading with Mani. And this book is a science fiction romance based on, just a quick read of the synopsis, I think this is sort of a political marriage between somebody who is from Earth and somebody who lives in a Mars colony. Or I don't know if Earth is still like habitable, or it's just like but there's some like, you know, cultural clashing going on between the 2 groups, and one way to solve that is a marriage. Why not? So I guess I'm reading another romance. This isn't necessarily how I thought that this pick would go. I was sort of hoping for something else, frankly, and I could have picked a sci-fi thriller, but I didn't. I picked this one. So here's my first pick for February's TBR Tally and my deck of TBR-thon, whatever. Oh, and I pulled this out of my TBR spin stack. So, wait, have I read Natasha Pulley before? Oh no. No, okay, I have never read a book by Natasha Pulley. I got scared that she might have written one of the Greek retellings that I didn't like, or that I didn't finish. We're good. So this is my TBR spin pick for February. Neat. Have you ever seen anything more beautiful? Okay, hello again. I'm here with my cards to pick another book because I'm almost done with The Mars House, and I just want to pick my next book before I go to work, because otherwise I'll be thinking about what my next book is going to be while I'm at work. I'm still sort of trying to get a handle on this whole one book at a time thing that I'm doing, so let's find out what our prompt is. Okay, Jack of Clubs. I sometimes really still feel suspicious that I don't know, and that means that I can pick any of the Jack prompts. Okay, the Jack prompts are in the title: frost, cold, or winter. So all the letters of one of those 3 words has to be in the title of a book. Okay, let's see what we can find. Okay, that actually didn't take long at all, because I have an ebook that I'm reading already for a different book club. So I wanted to pick another book off my shelf, so I just went over to my shelf and I was like, I'll just look at these titles and see what. Anyway, here, this was the second title that I looked at after Pride and Prejudice, which isn't really on my own to TBR actually, because I have read it. The New Wilderness by Diane Cook. So this is a book that I bought, and I went to check, I got in December 2023. So that was the first Christmas that we lived here. I'm remembering I got a Barnes & Noble gift card, and I think we went to the Barnes & Noble in like New Jersey, like my childhood Barnes & Noble, and I got this book and a few other things, a bunch of other things actually, and guess what? I still haven't read most of them. Haha. So this is, I think, climate fiction. Actually, I don't want to read the whole plot of this. I know that it's climate fiction, and I know that it was shortlisted for the Booker in 2020, and I know that it's the next book that I'm going to be reading, and I will come talk about The Mars House, because I have to talk about The Mars House. But I can't do it right now. I have to get ready for work. Hi. What day is it? The 7th? I finished The Mars House a couple of days ago, actually, and I just haven't had a chance to sit down and talk about it, but I need to talk about it. I need to rave about it, actually. I loved that book. I'm gonna be just widely recommending it. I think it was so good. I loved I loved so many different things about it. It just had so many different things that I really like in books. So the Mars House is about, it's a political sci-fi. I think on Goodreads it is shelved as a romance, but I feel like really that is, like, if you go into this expecting a romance, you'll be disappointed because it doesn't really, that's just so not the focus, I think. There's just so much else, so I think it's like more of like a political mystery set in space, or rather set on Mars. So our main character, we open meeting our main character, who is a ballet dancer on Earth in the far, far future when the climate crisis has continued to escalate. And so we get to know a little bit of what Earth is like in this sort of future, and like how countries have adapted and like what's changed and that kind of thing. And at the very beginning of the book, there is like a massive flood in London where he lives, and so he basically becomes a climate refugee, one of, you know, like millions kind of, and there's a few countries like that are accepting some refugee, but he basically, like, his best offer for like a place to go is like Mars. Come to the colony on Mars. They love to have Earth people there. And he's like, why not? And so he goes. And so then the deal with Earth immigrants to Mars, the Martian colony was originally like colonized by China. So it's a Chinese colony, but it's been like hundreds of years, I feel like. So there's a lot of independence. And it's has such unique cultural identity, like the Martian culture and the social structure and everything is very interesting, and you get to know a lot about that throughout reading the book, which I loved. And one of the sort of science-y phenomena is that this book really gets into a lot of gravitational stuff and atmospheric stuff and like light and temperature, like just it's a different planet, so its relationship to the sun and all of the things that the sun gives us on Earth is different. So people who have been born there and are born of like multiple generations of Martian, like they have sort of, there has been some evolution, and some of it I think was like deliberate and some of it just happened. But one of them is that the people who grow up and are born on Mars are taller and frailer, I guess. Like their bones are a lot weaker because of living in such different gravity. So when Earth strong people, that's what they call them, come to Mars, they're extremely valuable laborers because they're so much stronger, because their bodies are built and adapted to such different gravity, such stronger gravity. So they can do really, you know, heavy manual jobs that Martians really can't do. But they also are a danger to society because one, like, you know, accidental shoulder check on the street from one Earth strong person could really injure a Martian person. So they wear devices that are called resistance cages, which basically add resistance to all of their movements. So it sort of feels more like it would feel for them to be walking around and doing things in Earth's gravity, so that it's a lot harder for them to accidentally like put somebody through a wall. But it still does happen. So there's just a lot of tension around that, like the two populations not meshing, because there's another factor, which is that like there's no gender on Mars. Everyone who's from Mars, you know, uses gender neutral pronouns. They don't use any gendered language, but people from Earth still do. So it's sort of seen as like, you know, brutish and stupid. So we've got January. He was a dancer. That's what's also like such a fun contrast, I guess, is because his life on Earth was spent doing ballet at like one of the highest levels. So he is supremely strong, but also, you know, so controlled and so graceful and so like, yeah, controlled. He's in control of his body. That's what ballet is like about. So then for him to go to Mars and be treated like he's gonna, you know, cause all kinds of damage because of not knowing his own strength, like that's just a fun detail to have thrown in there. And what happens is that he ends up in a political marriage to a senator who's running to be like the president. I think they call him the consul of the colony on Mars. There's also like, there's all these animals that they've brought to Mars. There's just so much like fun little stuff. Okay, and the senator, like they truly are enemies politically. And that makes for a really interesting sort of, I don't know, it's like actual enemies. But the senator is really, really smart and also really into like language, like knows a lot about language. And so through them and also through some footnotes, we get a lot of other like linguistic detail about this culture in the colony, and it just was so fun. But yeah, someone's trying to like sabotage the election or whatever, so that's like the mystery. And also the previous partner that this senator had is like missing, and it's like kind of not really been clear what happened to them or like what's going on. So that's like another point of tension between them, is that January's like, hope I don't end up disappeared. That would really suck. Anyway, it was so good. It was like, it was well paced. I was interested. There was, you know, like I was like, who do we trust? Who do we believe? What's really going on here? And I just was thrilled the whole time reading it. I loved it. And when I finished it, I was like, I want to just go back to page 1 and read this again. I want there to be 45 more of these books. I really liked it. It had just so much of the sci-fi stuff that I love, that's like really creative, science-based, or like hypothetically science-based world building, and like so much political goodness. Like, yeah, really good book. So glad I picked it. And I'm about halfway done with The New Wilderness. I may as well share some thoughts about that right now. I kind of forgot how to vlog. That book is okay. Something weird is going on in my copy. I think only my copy, but there's missing letters. And at first, it was, the first 2 times I noticed it, it was in the same word. And I forget what the word was, but the central vowel, the central O, I feel like was missing. And I was like, that's weird. I wonder if this is foreshadowing. Because there's some interesting typography throughout, like just the first, you know, couple of words of every like section or chapter are like, the spacing doesn't make sense. It's just, it's not typical. It's like random kind of. Some of them are closer together, some of them are farther apart. It's just a little bit odd. So I sort of felt like missing letters was kind of related to that, but I've been marking where they all are now, because after I got to the 3rd one, I was like, okay, I need to be keeping track of this. So I started flagging them, and they're different. They're all vowels though, but I can't find any pattern to it. And when I was looking, I just started Googling like The New Wilderness missing letters, like in a variety of versions of that, to try to like find out if anybody had written anything about that in their review anywhere. No. So I'll keep you posted if that turned out to be something or not. If not, I'm going to be really mad. But if yes, like what a fun wild goose chase for me to be on. If it's really something, then I love it. Love when a book also has a puzzle, you know what I mean? It's about Agnes and her mom Bee, basically. It's another world-ending climate collapse future book. They were living in the city, but the city, capital C, was making everybody sick. Not everybody, well, probably, but it was making Agnes really sick. She was just like 3 or 4 years old or something. So, you know, none of the medications were working anymore. It was like the doctors were basically like, you just give up, she's not going to make it. And so Bee's husband was like, well, there's this new project that they want to send people out into the new wilderness and study them. Basically, they want a group of people to get together and live in the new wilderness, which is just like an enormous piece of land that has been like rewilded, basically. So they want to sort of experiment, I guess, on a group of people living there, primitively. And they have a lot of rules for that. But she's like, okay, well, I'll do this for my daughter because it seems like she'll survive if we do this. So I guess we're doing it. But she really doesn't want to. she doesn't like it. And they've been living there for years when the story starts, and we just get the backstory like a little bit later. But it did work. Like, Agnes is thriving, and B is like, dang, I guess I have to live here forever now so that my daughter can stay alive, even though I want to go back to living in my apartment with my job and my life. But so there's like some motherhood stuff, and I'm expecting more motherhood stuff to kind of crop up surrounding that. And also there's tensions between the different people in the group. Like, they've been together for years, a lot of them have died, and now the people who are left, like, you know, I don't know, there always seems to be a subtle power struggle, so it's kind of like Lord of the Flies vibes. I have no idea where the book's gonna go. I'm into it. I'm not like loving it though. I'm not flying through it by any means, but I'm, you know, it's fine. So I'm reading that, and I'm really eager actually to pull my next card, get my next book, but not yet. I have like 200 more pages or something. I am here before you today to tell you that I'm not going to finish this book, The New Wilderness. I am close to done with it. I have reached page 320. There are 395 pages, so not a ton of book left, you know? But it's just too much book to read. Like, because I don't want to read, and I'm not reading. Like, I am having to use so much willpower to pick up this book to read it that it's like, I could use that willpower for something else, you know? I don't want to use that for reading because I like reading. This book is the reason that I read 0 pages one day, the other day, my first time this year. And for a long time in 2025 too. Like, I pretty much read every day, but she got to me. What's getting to me also, so I'm choosing to put this book down forever and not finish it because of how much I don't want to read it. And I'm really upset by how I don't know what that's about. I don't know exactly what's going on in here. That is just not working for me. It just feels like God, it's not really that much. I could just finish it. I really don't want to. Okay, I'm gonna say I'm DNFing it right for now, but maybe I'll come back to it. Anyway, I've been tabbing. There you go. I've been tabbing all the times there's a missing letter. I ran out of tabs. I had just a stack of them at the beginning, and I had a stack that I put in the front of the book, and then I used them all up, and there were 2 more since I ran out, but oh well. But I don't think they mean anything. I think it's just a printing error that is really clearly making me go bananas. Go bananas. A reason that I'm not like loving this is just that the characters are doing nothing for me. The plot, while intriguing, and there are, you know, some things going on that we could get to the bottom of, but I'm like, I know what's at the bottom of that. I don't need to get to the bottom of it. I know what's there. And none of the characters are anything to me. And that is really disappointing. So, saying goodbye, actually, to this. I'm not going to read those last 90 pages. I don't care, okay? I don't care. I'm not finishing this. 2020 Booker Prize shortlisted? Who? Couldn't be me. So, that's another book off the tally. So, that's book number 2. At this point of January, I had read, I think, 4 books. Okay. It's fine. That's book 2. Now, I have my cards again. Hold on. We need to pick our next book. And because I'm just like so not in, I'm looking for the jokers. I guess it doesn't matter if I pull a joker, I'll just pull again. Here we go. I got them. Gonna shuffle these. I think I'm gonna pull 3 prompts and then see which of those I want the most, because I need to be reading something I'm really excited about. So if I get a prompt that's like something I'm not excited about, I don't want to guilt myself into just reading it. So I'm going to give myself 3 options for my next book, and we'll go from there. So the first 3 cards. Nine of Hearts, pink or red on the cover. The next card. Six of Clubs is I can pick any prompt, any romance trope, okay? And then the final option I have is a King of Clubs, and the King is a genre. So club means take my pick. My favorite genre, a genre blend, or a out of my comfort zone genre. So this could be literally anything. That's honestly not helpful. Okay, pink or red, romance trope, genre. Okay, I think I picked. Yeah, I picked. And it's a combination of the first and second prompt, which is romance trope. I don't really know what the trope is here. Time travel, maybe? Is that a trope? And then pink or red on the cover. That's why I originally was looking at it, because there's red on the cover of Most Ardently Yours by Freya Sampson. This is an arc that I have. It's not expected to publish until July of this year. So I have this issue in my brain where I'm like, well, I shouldn't read that yet because it's not going to come out until July, and I should try to read and review it close to publication time. But that results in me having a huge backlog of arcs that I never read when I was in the mood for them, because I was waiting for the publication date. And then when that actually came around, I was like not paying attention. Anyway, so I'm just not ignoring. I'm ignoring that. I'm trying to ignore that. So this is a book about a girl. Okay, Zoe, she goes into this wacko bookstore and she's sworn off dating for good because men are awful. She goes into this bookstore and buys a really old copy of Pride and Prejudice. And then once she starts reading it, Mr. Darcy appears in the real world and she has to decide if she's gonna keep him or not. I don't know. But it mentions him trying to figure out how to work a shower. So I think that this might give me a little bit of what I got a lot of in The Ministry of Time. I loved that like reverse time travel. It's not, it's just reverse of what you typically see. Anyway, so I'm excited to read that, and I don't know, a light romance seems like it could really hit the spot right now because nothing's gonna be the Mars House. I wish I was still reading that. But I think this will definitely be better than that other book. I forget the name already and I don't care. So gonna read my new little romance and be back to pick another one when I finish it. All right, I did such a bad job vlogging in January and I am just now having to correct my mistakes in that for that video. Sorry for spoiling the timeline of disaster that this series has somehow become. I started Most Ardently Yours or whatever last night, and I'm not optimistic about it. I really don't want to DNF another book. I barely started it, but there have been so many name drops of like romance authors, book boyfriends, like, you know, characters from contemporary, like recent, current, really popular romances, and also some like more classics. Obviously there's a Jane Austen, you know, mentioned, but like I'm concerned because I do not like that. And I am not a big romance reader, so like I recognize maybe half of the names she's name dropping, which is just annoying. So I'm really annoyed that I can't pick a good book, apparently. Maybe I need to give up on the deck of TBR thing and just like pick a book I want to pick. Not that I'm gonna DNF, I just like, I don't know that I'm in the mood to like that book. Okay, I'll let you know what I decide, if I ever decide. Okay, I made it to 9% of Most Ardently Yours, and I'm not DNFing, okay, because I think I could have fun reading it like at a different time. I just also like, I don't want this video series to be like Ruby DNFing 45 books in a row, you know? So I'm gonna stop reading that and I'm gonna give up on the cards thing. It's just, we're not having a good time. Deck of TBR Picks My Books ends now. I don't know what I'm going to pick for my next book. When I'm looking at my shelf, I'm seeing a lot of nonfiction. There's the fiction sort of is in my TBR spin stack. Not completely fiction, but a lot of it. So I'm gonna think about this while I'm at work today. I might look through my arcs again and see what I'm gonna, I want to read something that's like fast paced and that I want to finish. I'm also just like, I'm not reading in the mornings right now. So then like I get to the end of the day and I did all my other stuff, but like reading is sort of taking last priority right now. And I've been trying to do a bunch of editing to get my January TBR Tally video out. That's had a lot of challenges. So I've just like also been not having a lot of time to read, which like I prefer to read for like at least 30 minutes right when I wake up. But then of late I've been needing to leave the house 30 minutes after I wake up to go to the gym. Not all the time. I don't know. I don't have my priorities in order right now, and I'm going to try to fix that tomorrow. Because today it's too late for the morning. But yeah, when I get home from work, I'm going to pick a new book. All right, what I had to do to pick my next book is actually just outsource it. And I had done this last month at one point when I didn't know what to read next. I just asked one of my friends to look at my owned TBR shelf on Goodreads, which you're also welcome to look at. It's up to date. And pick something for me to read. And that was Danielle from Danielle Reads, and she picked The Island of Missing Trees, which was a 5-star. So I did that again. I said, Danielle, want to look at my Goodreads and pick my book for me? I did have some parameters, which were that I couldn't read the next Robin Hood book because I'm waiting for that to be the moment. And then also I have my TBR spin stack, which I could pull books from and read and replace in the stack, but I'd rather not do that because I feel like, I don't know, it just feels like too much work to pick a new book to put in the stack. I don't know. So I asked Danielle to pick for me, and she picked Yesteryear by Caro Burke something. I don't know. I don't remember. Voila. This is coming out, I don't know when. I have the arc for Yesteryear, and I was really intrigued to read it because the synopsis is just so fun and funny to me. The concept is this woman, what's her name? Natalie, is a trad wife influencer, basically. She has like a hobby farm, kind of, in like the middle of nowhere, Idaho, and she's got, all of her children that she's like raising at home, and has this like influencer, lifestyle. And it was sort of fun to get to see her thought process behind her content and like why she makes certain content and how it's perceived or the kinds of engagement that she gets and like what she's after, I think a lot about that sort of thing, like rage bait, etc. So I don't know. So that was fun. But then, so that's her. She's a trad wife influencer, but then she wakes up one day and she's living it. She's in, like, back in time, I guess, in a time and place where it's not just about, making your own bread and learning about herbalism. It's also like there's no electricity and my husband owns me kind of a thing, So I thought that I don't know, I thought this would be a funny book, and it's not. I'm about halfway done with it. I am liking it, but it's pretty dark. It's almost like horror-y because like when she's wakes up in this past era, like all her children are there, but they're not really her children, and her husband is there, but he's not really her husband. So it's like, it's freaky to me to think about. And we also are going back and forth with like how she met her husband and how they ended up with this life and how she ended up being this person who is this kind of influencer and what are her real feelings about like feminism. It's just like, so that's again, it's not funny, but it is interesting, and it is well written, I think. And I don't know. I don't really know what I want to happen. Like I have some ideas and thoughts about what's going on with the like actual like the back in time part. It's weird. It's scary. I don't know, but I'm reading it, and I think Danielle's gonna pick it for a book club book, or was thinking about it, so I'm eager to give her my review. So yeah, I've just passed the halfway point. I haven't finished a book in like 2 weeks. So hopefully I can finish this one in the next day or two, because what's the tally at for February right now? 2, the Mars House, and then the Wilderness, the New Wilderness. So when I finish this, it will be 3, and it's supposed to be 6. And I have 2 banked books that I can use. So I need to finish this and one more thing. Eek. I can do it, it's fine. All right, I am just about to head to bed. I have reached 75% of Yesteryear, and I am enjoying it. It's sort of going in a direction, I don't know, it's different than what I expected. So that's something, and I'm looking forward to finishing it. I'm trying to just like enjoy reading and not feel stressed about the deadlines, but I haven't finished a book. Allow me to check my calendar. Well, it'll be 2 weeks tomorrow, so that's not great for a girl with a TBR tally of 6, you know what I mean? And again, I know that I have those 2 banked ones, and I've had to already for the tally, and I'm gonna finish Yesteryear like tomorrow maybe. I'm gonna get in bed and read for a while and then hopefully finish this tomorrow. And then I'm picking probably, like I'll probably read some of my short books. I don't know. I'm just concerned about it, so hey. Remember last month when I couldn't stop finishing books, and now I simply can't finish a book? All this to say that I'm trying to keep my cool about reading. I'm trying to remember that this is a fun little thing that I do, and a fun little challenge I gave myself, and it's not that serious, because sometimes it feels really serious. Like it feels like there's a lot riding on me finishing 6 books from my own TBR this month, and really like there's really not. Coming to you live from a slightly different angle than I normally do, in the spirit of vlogging this vlog. I just got the news that I have indeed been promoted. My library board had to vote on my appointment, but they approved it. So I am now the assistant director of my library, which is so crazy because I've only just graduated, I feel like, and I know that my director has really wanted this from me and for me, and I sort of hoped and kind of assumed that it would be coming, but I didn't think it would be so sudden and with such, I don't know, support. Like, I feel really good about it. I feel valued, I feel supported, I feel excited, challenged, fearful, all of the above, but I'm just really excited about it. And guess what? I'm home alone, so who am I telling my vlog? Hooray! Proud of me for doing that. And I'm almost done with Yesteryear. It's so bananas. I don't really even know what to say. And I actually was finding it too intense to read last night. So I started the Alison Cochrane arc that I have, Every Step She Takes, which is where like a woman, I think, is like is starting to have some doubts about her sexuality. She always assumed she was straight. Now she's like, maybe I'm a lesbian. And she spontaneously is going on this guided tour of the Camino de Santiago in Portugal. And she meets a woman. She's already met a woman who I believe is, you know, gonna be the woman for her. So it's just a much less strenuous, stressful read, because what's happening at the end of Yesteryear is bonkers. So thanks for being here for me to share my news with. I'm gonna go back to reading now.
I get emails from them every morning, the Cornell Birdwatch, and they have these father-son photography team taking pictures of birds.
I finished my Sophie hood and it's perfect. It's perfect. I'm so happy. And I can't get over how cute it is. Happy snow day. Yay. Yay. I finished a book and I forgot to tell you about it, and then I started another book and finished that too. So let's just one thing at a time. I finished Every Step She Takes by Alison Cochrane and I loved it. I really loved it. I think such a good romance, such a beautiful story of, yes, two people who sort of find each other and fall in love, but also all of the powers of friendship, the friends and the friendships that grew in this story alongside the romantic relationship were truly stunning. So this is the story of Sadie, this book mainly, and Mal. And Mal is a well-established lesbian, and Sadie has been living her life as a straight girl, not really liking men and sort of feeling like something's wrong with her, that she's not ever been like really into somebody. She's never had a relationship. And then she finally sort of starts to have this idea that like maybe it's because men is not the thing for her in the first place. So she admits to Mal in a chance encounter that she thinks she might be a lesbian in a moment of panic. It's the first time she's admitting this to herself even. And they're on a plane and they're actually both on their way to do a Camino de Santiago tour with the same group. So Sadie got roped into going on this tour of the Camino, which is just a really long walk through Portugal or Spain. That is a sort of pilgrimage. And, you know, thousands of people do it every year, and it's a whole thing, but sometimes you can do it with a tour group, which is what Sadie's doing because her sister's a travel influencer who had a contract or whatever with this tour group to do this Camino, and then her sister injures her foot or something, so she sends Sadie instead to do this really long walk and write about it for her blog and sort of promote the tour group. And Mal is doing it because she just got broken up with, and the way that she handles being dumped is buying a plane ticket. So they're both running from something, running through something, but the tour group that they are walking with is so fun. It's just like such a wonderful group of queer women and femmes. That's sort of the situation with the tour group. And so we get such a wide variety of different queer experiences, and then, you know, you get to see them all become friends, while also Sadie and Mal are really working through their own stuff at varying paces throughout the book. But it really, really made me want to do the walk. I want to walk the Camino. I was looking up tour packages the other night. Like, this is something that feels so up my alley. I had heard about it before, but reading about it, like, I just really want to do it now. So catch me in 2027, I guess. We'll see. I wish that I could take this tour though. Like, I want to go with this tour guide and with this group, really, which doesn't exist. So anyway, I had a phenomenal time. I loved this book. I'm so happy I read it. Alison Cochrane really knows what's going on. She really does. It was phenomenal. And I'm so happy. So that's another book off my tally. So what's that for February? That's pretty good. And it's not over yet. Okay, but I'm gonna go home now and tell you about the other thing that happened when I get there. Hello! I have some things that I need to be confessing. Also, the lighting I think is just wrong. I had to move the curtains. Like, it's fine. But I fear, whatever. I'm here, and this is the time and the space that I have to do this. So let me talk to you about how the rest of February went, because it is, the last day of February. And after I finished Every Step She Takes, I did actually read one more book. So I read, oh look, it's right here, Pet by Akwaeke Emezi, who we remember from January, where we had a less than stellar encounter. I decided, so after I had finished Every Step She Takes, that was tally number 4 out of 6. And so I was like, let me see what my short books are. I had my 2 shortest books ready to go. And I was like, realistically, I can read these 2 by the end of the month and have completed the tally. So I did complete Pet. I read that first, and it's about 200 pages. I wanted to give Akwaeke Emezi another try kind of soonish, because I also was sort of wondering, like, is this actually an author that I really, really like? Or did I just have some good experiences with some of their books, and it's not necessarily that, like, their writing is definitely for me? And so I read this. This is a young adult book. It's a little fairy tale-esque. And the concept is that this is a world where monsters have been eradicated fully. The angels got rid of all the monsters, so it's this utopia-ish, whatever. It's supposedly a utopia. What am I saying? And our main character, Jam, encounters a creature that crawled out of one of Jam's mother's paintings. The creature is called Pet, and it tells her that there's a monster that needs to be hunted, and so Jam and Pet kind of team up to hunt this monster. And the point kind of is that you can't always tell who a monster is or where a monster could be lurking. Of course, in this is, monsters being abusers or manipulators, anyone in that kind of realm who, are often very capable of putting up a totally different face to the world than the one that their victims see, etc. So that's kind of what that's about. And it was fine. I think, a short book, it was trying to tackle some big things. I guess it did tackle some big issues. I was not blown away by it. I didn't find it to be particularly gripping. I sort of knew exactly what was going to happen. And had a good guess at who was responsible, and I was right. So, but it's a book for younger people, so I don't know. I felt like it was a good book, but it was not, to me, deserving. I don't want to say it wasn't deserving of any of the 5 stars, but I picked this one to start with because it has higher ratings than my other short book, which is the most recent Wayward children's book. So I went into this with pretty high hopes, basically, and it didn't meet them. I recently also read a different sort of fairy tale-y story with, allegory, strong allegory, and that was What the River Knows by El Motar. Is that the author? And that was, like, phenomenal. So this one sort of suffered in comparison, frankly, because I was comparing them even though they're not about even sort of the same thing. Anyway, what was great in this book was representation. That's something that I think is so important in a book. Like, everyone in this book is Black. There is a trans main character. There is characters in wheelchairs, non-binary characters. There's a polycule. That's probably the wrong word. There's a throuple. That's probably also the wrong word. There's one of our characters uses sign language. Like, there's all these different types of people in this book, and I thought that was amazing, and of course valuable, especially for the youth. I'm sure for everyone. So that's my feelings about Pet. I'm glad that I read it. Again, I enjoyed it, but I didn't love it. So let me consult my notes. I believe, and this is actually not where my notes are. Let me consult my notes. Yeah. Pet was my 5th book for February, and we know that my February tally was 6, and while I probably could have pushed myself to read The Gates of Garnet and Gold or something, I decided not to. I decided, you know what, 5 out of 6 is pretty good. I had 2 banked books from January, so I'm going to use one of those to complete February's tally. So it is done. And I actually just spent the last couple days of February, instead of racing through one more book, I just let myself get a book out of the library that I had been sort of thinking about and wanting to read, and it's a large nonfiction book that I've just been slowly sort of getting through and enjoying that. And so I think having the grace, having the ability to sort of read what I want also and make room for other stuff is what I want in this project. So congratulations me on completing another month of the tally. I am loving this so far, let me just say. And like, I want to read all my own books. I'm like, oh, I don't want to end the year with 15. I want to end the year with 0. I don't think that's going to happen. And I'm not going to change my structure or anything, but I'm feeling motivated still and excited. This, I guess, sorry to the deck of TBR, it really wasn't working for me in this instance. And I don't know that I have a game that I'm going to play in March because of some other plans that I'm already plotting, but maybe in April I'll do Take a Hike or something. I don't know. Some of the final numbers for February before I leave you. Now I am consulting my notes. I read 5 books. Okay, one of them was a DNF, but that's fine. And that's the same as January, so we are consistent. Hauled, I have that in my notes here, but I'm not going to tell you. You're going to have to wait for March's video to find out how many I hauled in February. Is that fun? Should I tell you in this video? If you tell me that, I will tell you in the March video if it's more fun to know what's coming. But I feel like it's more fun to not know until you get. Anyway, pages read in February for TBR Tally. 1,851, which is more than last month, which was 1,500. Now we're at 1,800 pages, which brings my total to 3,432, which is a lot. And I gave out 17 stars this month because I had 2 5-star books. So that's really exciting. And that brings my total stars for TBR Tally to 28, which I think is pretty good. So those are the stats. That's the lay of the land, as it were, and another successful month on the books. I love TBR Tally, and I will see you here next month for the March video. Wish me luck. And I hope your books are good.